What are you starting to pick up?
Well, first of all, they start laying out their own scams. And these scams are very ruthless. I mean, to give you one example, there was one scam.
Now, is this in a conversation, or are you hearing this around you?
No, this is when I actually got serious and began to sit down with people with a notebook and began to interview them, so to speak, and write and look at their case files in some cases and write detailed histories of what actually happened.
How did that go over?
Well, honestly, they loved it because they knew I was an anomaly in there. And then pretty soon they realized I'm an educated guy. And so they began to sort of fight. They found me intriguing. First of all, they would laugh their heads off about what I did. They'd be like, so you gave 20 grand? And I go, yeah. And they go, of whose money? I go, of my money. They go, you didn't take anybody else's money? So the concept of crime in which you actually lose money was super puzzling to these guys. So I raised money for a college friend of mine. So one goes, can you raise money for me? I'm like, no. But as I got to know them, they would tell me things that would actually make my hair stand up a little bit. There was one scheme these guys had, and it involved both the Mexican mafia and some of the black gangs in LA, and it was a scam on the homeless. What they would do is they'd go to the homeless guys and they'd say, oh, we have established a charity fund. We actually want to sign you up for 100 grand in life insurance. The good news is we're going to pay your premiums. But the beneficiary won't be you. It's going to be this youth charity that we've set up. So when you pass away, God forbid, the money will go to the youth charity. But the good news is we're willing to give you $5,000 right now for your trouble in signing up for this program. You just have to list us as the beneficiary of the program so that our charity can benefit from it when you die. It seems like a can't say no deal. 5 grand straight up, plus you're doing good for society, and you don't have to pay the premiums. So you sign up for the program, and then mysteriously, shortly thereafter, something happens to you and you're dead. So
this doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out.
Of course not. It's a very straightforward ruse, preying on the vulnerability of the poor to cash in on insurance scams. But done in the name of social justice. That's what intrigued me, is that you have to set up the It's not like sign your money over to the Bloods and the Crips. It's sign your money over to the youth soccer fund or sign your money over to the rehabilitation program. So it allows people to feel good about what they're doing. Now, the moment I began to think about that, I began to realize that if you look at some of the operations, let's just call it, of the Obama gang, or if I can speak slightly facetiously, the Hillary gang, look at healthcare. Obama goes to the American people and he basically goes, look, I've got a scam for you. We've got these insurance companies, they're loaded. So why don't you and I conspire to stick it to them? We're going to make them do things they don't want to do, like insure you for things you already had before you even bought insurance. So the American people, or some of them, go, not a bad idea. You, Obama, be our guy. You go fight for us. You go get them. Then Obama goes to the insurance companies, shuts out the press, locks the door, turns off the camera, and he says, guys, look, I want to have greater federal control over the insurance companies, and you're not going to like that. I know that. But here's the deal. I'm going to force millions of Americans who don't want, perhaps don't need, certainly don't want to pay for health insurance, but I'm going to make them buy it. And that's going to mean millions of customers for you, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for you. So this is a profit scheme between you and us. We both benefit. So here's my point, Glenn. What is presented as a scam, Obama and the American people ripping off the insurance companies, is actually the opposite. Obama and the insurance companies ripping off the American people. It's a beautiful bait and switch. So we can argue all day about whether Obamacare works, but I began to see it as exactly the kind of thing that a bunch of guys in my confinement center would have thought of and and literally, if I described it to them that way, they go, I mean, they use obscenities, but they would be like, wow, this guy's pulling things off at a scale that we, the stupid criminals who got caught, we couldn't even envision. But I was reminded, thinking about what they were telling me, there's an interesting story about Alexander the Great and the pirate. So Alexander the Great is informed that there's this nasty pirate who's out in the seas molesting ships, raiding them, boarding them. So he has the pirate summoned before him, and he goes, where do you get this crazy idea of molesting ships and raiding the high seas? And the pirate goes, well, I got it from you. But the pirate says, but because I got one boat, and I do it on a small scale, I'm a pirate. You have a whole navy and a whole army, and you conquer large tracts of territory, and you're a great emperor. So St. Augustine, who's writing about this, comments that the criminal gangs are small kingdoms, and kingdoms, he says, referring to Rome, are gangs on a large scale. And that's one of the insights that drives this book, Stealing America. It's the idea that we can look at politics not simply as a debate of ideas. It is that. I don't deny that. But it's also, there's a giant loot here for the taking. It's the federal treasury. It's the wealth of America. When you get into politics, you have access to that.